Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Philly Frenzy podcast. Tonight, I'm your host, Matt, as always. I'm with my buddy, Rob. What is going on, Rob?
Man, just ready to get into this topic tonight on the podcast here.
All right, so tonight on the podcast, we got a special guest, and Mr. Too Chill. You guys know him in the 2K community is one of your favorite locks. Um, he is coming on, and he is going to talk about why he has Russell Westbrook in the top 5 point guards of all time discussion. Um, I know Rob and I feel a little bit differently than Chill does, but let's bring Chill in. What's going on, Chill?
What's good, everybody? Appreciate y'all having me here, man.
Now, real quick before we get into this discussion, I've recently just seen you tweet out that you're taking a break from 2K.
Yeah, man. Just focusing on building my brand, taking beast mentality into merch, and just want to actually have an athletic um, apparel program to it. So, just working on that right now.
Can we see you in the prime scene, moving forward? Is this like a mental break? Like you got to check out for a little bit because there's a bunch of shit going on?
I feel like I'm done with 2K.
Okay.
Literally just doing it. I've been doing it for like a while since like 2K19, trying to break into the area, and I'm gonna make a lot of progression with it. But I feel like it was just time for me to branch off and actually get down to business with it.
All right. Well, hopefully, in the future, Beast Mentality does have a good run at selling content, and you're able to, build your brand the way you want to build it. That's definitely something that I look forward to seeing happen for you, because you and I actually got to play together a little bit this pre-draft, and we've had discussions. You've heard some theories about how I believe Tupac's still alive and all that fun stuff, but we're not gonna dive deep into that. So the meaning of the show tonight, Chill made a tweet a couple days ago. I actually believe it was on Tuesday. And Chill said that Russell Westbrook is a top 5 point guard of all time, not top 10, top 5. I saw that tweet and immediately jumped in Chill's DMs. Was like, I need you on the show. We need to have this discussion live. So before we get into who's in your top 5 point guard spots, what makes you believe that he is Russell Westbrook is a top 5 point guard of all time?
Just honestly, just pure dominance. Yeah, he may struggle sometimes with his shot selection and when to back down, things like that. But just his overall game and what he does for a team, his impact, I just believe it won't be done again for a long time. I know they talked about that with Big O, and then he surpassed Big O in a lot of ways as that, and his accolades speaks for itself. His accolades are just, amazing. Now I understand, most people are going to say his regular season accolades, they're going to get into that, but it just in general for what he's accomplished, it speaks a lot on his dominance.
All right, I tend to agree. He does, change a lot of outcomes of games in the regular season. He recently stated in a quote, championships don't mean anything to him. So I feel like that kind of hurts his legacy in my eyes. Because everyone wants to be a winner.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be second place. You want to be first place. But wrapping that discussion up, who is the 4 guys you have in front of Westbrook? Or is there even 4 guys in front of Westbrook in your top 5?
There's definitely 4 guys in front of Westbrook. I mean, you have Magic, you have Steph, you have J Kidd. I'm trying to think. I even would say I put Zeke in front of Russell for what he did with the Pistons throughout his whole career, through the Jordan era. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, that's it for right now. Even if Russ doesn't end up in the top 5, towards the end of the career, because he probably won't, maybe not win a ring, but I'm still gonna have him as top 10, at least top 10 from all his accolades, at least.
All right, so there's one name that jumps right out at me that you do not have in your top 5. And actually, There's two names actually that jump right out at me. John Stockton and Steve Nash.
Oh yeah.
Now with Steve Nash, he was one of the first guards that we got to see average the what was it, the 50 40 90.
Correct.
And then he actually had double doubles in both them seasons, leading the league in assists both years as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. John Stockton, Iron Man himself, just efficient his whole career. The only man that I said if you look at his stats, he literally averaged a double double his whole career. Like that's just efficient. to his whole career, he's double double. Steve Nash definitely. I believe his MVP season was stolen. He stole the MVP from Kobe, but we ain't gonna get too far in that one.
I agree with you.
Kobe definitely, but the way Nash orchestrated the Suns haven't been that way in God knows how long with a PG like that. Now they're making a run with Chris Paul, but definitely Steve Nash is a lot of people's point guards that they don't really always look at because he didn't produce huge numbers. He was a guy that he'll give you a solid 17, 12 assists every night, but he made them count. He was always there when you needed him, making the right passes, setting other players up. He took a team what was that? Chandler Fry, Martin Stoudemire,
Sean Marion. I believe you had Raja Bell, Boris Diaw was there at one point, I believe.
Right. It's just that team he took though to the playoffs against Kobe. Even though Kobe's team at that time wasn't the best, but if I'm correct, wasn't that the season he had
Kobe averaged 34 points a game?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first of the back-to-back seasons that Steve Nash won MVP. One of the seasons I believe he did deserve MVP. The second season, it might have been flip-flopped. I think the second season he deserved it. The first season Kobe deserved it. But I'm not going to argue that I feel like Kobe got gypped when it comes to that MVP. My thing that what I'm trying to get at is, Westbrook doesn't have a ring. And if we're looking at statistics and we're looking at the accolades and we're looking at team success in the regular season, real quick, throw that out the window. Chill. Do you have a favorite basketball team?
Favorite basketball team? I'm a Pacers fan for life.
You're a Pacers fan?
Yep.
That explains why you have Russell Westbrook. Jesus, Wilson's all over the news in my mind. So Russell Westbrook over Derrick Rose, because Derrick Rose killed Indiana's hopes at anything.
Yeah.
While he was healthy. So now I understand a little bit. Now we're getting to the root of it.
My Pacers ain't never had a chance since Reggie Miller and the Paul George and David West time. So it is what it is. We'll be rebuilding for the next 20 years probably.
My thing is when you look at these statistics and these accolades, and three guys, two that I brought up, and then you brought up Chris Paul. So Steve Nash, John Stockton, and then you had said something real quick about Chris Paul. These three guys, in my opinion, if they get snubbed out of the Hall of Fame, it's because they don't have a championship.
Right. I understand that.
These three guys, I feel, had more team success, have better statistics, and are better accoladed than Russell Westbrook. Chris Paul, I'm pretty sure, led the league in steals and assists in the same season.
Yeah, many times.
Chris Paul averages over 2 steals a game in his career, I believe.
So
as of right now,
when you take Westbrook, right, and you're starting to see, so my thing is you're getting into a patty cake league. It's not the same. We're about the same age. You've seen the NBA the same time I've seen it. This is not the same NBA we grew up with.
Right.
And it's all about padding stats. Look at Josh Hart. Josh Hart is averaging 15 rebounds over the last 5 games.
Seriously?
a 6'5" shooting guard on the New Orleans Pelicans is averaging 15 rebounds a game over the last 5 games.
He's doing the same thing Russell Westbrook does, getting all of his teammates to box people out and let them grab them easy boards.
To me, when you look at this league, you look at these statistics, the average rate of a triple-double compared to what it was even 10 years ago,
Right.
you got 5 guys on any given night at the minimum getting you a triple-double. Look at Jokic. This man is more than likely going to win MVP. And, I mean, in my eyes, he should be the MVP.
He's the best passing center in basketball.
This man drops triple-double after triple-double after triple-double.
Right.
Look at Giannis. Giannis and Westbrook are very similar. The difference is the body.
Right.
So Westbrook's what, 6'6" or 6'4", and Giannis is 6'10". They both get triple-doubles. Neither one of them can shoot. Neither one of them have had success when it comes to the playoffs. So when you start opening up Westbrook being a top 5 point guard of all time, you start looking at different positions and you start asking yourself, is Giannis right now a Hall of Famer? To me, no. Is Jokic right now a Hall of Famer? To me, no. You take away you take away the championships that Draymond Green won because he plays in Golden State. He averages this damn near close to the same number as Russell Westbrook does. Is Draymond Green a Hall of Famer? Without the rings.
No.
Without the rings, is he a Hall of Famer?
Definitely not.
So before this goes any further, and we disrespect these guys anymore, since none of y'all have even brought them up yet. I don't know how we're talking greatest point guards of all time, and we haven't talked Jerry West yet. I don't know how we're talking greatest point guards of all time. Nobody's brought up Gary Payton yet.
Oh yeah, Gary Payton is definitely in top 10. Definitely.
The level of disrespect in my mind that y'all have talked this long and not brought up Jerry West, who is arguably the second or third best point guard of all time. I believe Jerry West averaged like 27 points a game from the point guard spot.
I mean, then you could bring up Pistol Pete. Magic was mentioned, Jelly. Magic was one of Chill's top 5. Actually, he was the first one mentioned.
He mentioned Isaiah Thomas. He mentioned Oscar Robertson.
All right, so yeah, that's a good question here. So the big O, now that that's being brought up. I was getting to that, but we'll leave that for a second. The big O. Westbrook is doing something that, we weren't expecting to see, and we haven't really seen since Oscar did it. In your mind, is Westbrook better than Oscar?
No. All reason I say that because the success that Oscar Robertson brought to the Bucks, they were always either getting to the finals or like damn near close. And that also speaks to the team as well, how the team played. Because then, how long did Kareem play with Big O?
For a few, I want to say at least 4 years.
And that team was always in the run. I mean, Big O's success is definitely like when we talk about championships, it's always gonna be team success. It's just Russell's best time that he could have won. It was when the KD and Harden trio went ahead and they just couldn't put it together. Since then, I mean, his teams weren't destined to win in the West with the teams he's had. Paul George was probably his second best player in Oladipo since KD and Hart left. And then it came down to Steven Adams just because Westbrook was just dotting him for assists and alley-oops. For points, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Russell kind of blew his chance away. It's going to be highly unlikely for him to fit into another team that's going to trust him to actually like play his role to win. And I can't be mad at it. That's just he wants to continue to do what he wants to do to win. I can't be mad at that. And it's not going to wear out for him. But the stats he put up, like we said, I mean I can. People say he stats fast, and I can see that. I'm not gonna argue that. It's moments where we've seen like his big man are boxing everybody else up, so he could get the board. And and that's this type of style he is. He's like he's gonna get the board. We're gonna run a track. We're gonna get out, get the ball in his hands. And I don't know what's gonna take. It's not too late for him to get a ring with the right people, but his mentality has to change.
Do you think a ring solidifies him into the top 5 of all time in other people's
Top
minds?
10.
You think top 10?
Top 10.
Okay.
Top 10.
I think a ring would move him maybe into the top 10. It's so tough because it's subjective, but so for me, my top 5 of all time, and this is a list that constantly kind of changes around, except for number 1, Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time.
Fuck that, LeBron James.
Dude averaged just under 20 points a game. He averaged over 11 assists a game, 7 boards a game, and 2 steals a game. Magic Johnson was ridiculous.
Right.
I would say my number 2 usually is pretty consistently Oscar Robertson. 25 almost 26 points a game, just shy of 10 assists, just shy of 8 boards a game. The dude was ridiculous. I think, honestly, he's kind of a forgotten about guy. When you look at those numbers, that's pretty similar to what LeBron's done for his entire career. And nobody talks about Oscar Robertson anymore. Number 3 for me is probably Jerry West. Just so much success with the Lakers. On top of the fact that he's a ridiculously good point guard. And then 4, I have Chris Paul.
The point guard.
the
better version of Gary Payton.
Pretty much. He's an elite defender, excellent passer, can score the ball, and everywhere he goes, everywhere I've ever seen him go, the team wins. Even when they're not supposed to win, they win. Chris Paul just doesn't let teams lose. And my number 5 is John Stockton.
Now that you said that, I have to ask you this question. And people rank Steph Curry, top 5 point guard of all time. How do y'all feel about that?
To me, he's top 10 just because of how historically good he is at the 3. The reason he's outside of my top 5, I think his passing isn't as elite as the 5 guys I just named.
Right.
And I want to point, and defensively, yeah, he gets some steals, but he can be a liability on the defensive end.
You see him chasing one of the weaker guards on him.
Magic Johnson wasn't a liability defensively. Oscar Robertson obviously wasn't. Chris Paul's one of the best defensive point guards, in my opinion, ever. John Stockton's one of the best defensive point guards we've ever seen. So, Curry's in my top 10. I think you can't deny his shooting ability and his scoring ability. And, he has the postseason success. So he's definitely up there. The dude's definitely a lock for the Hall of Fame. It's not even a question. He could retire tomorrow. He'll get in first ballot. He's the best shooter he's ever seen. But to me, to be a true point guard, I want elite passing. And I don't think he's an elite passer at the level of the 5 guys I named before.
I can respect that.
When I look at Steph Curry, if anybody knows me personally, I'm not a Steph Curry fan. To me, Steph Curry is not he's great. People sit here and they'll be like, oh, he changed the game, this, that. Yeah, that's cool. He changed the game. But, when I look at my 5 guys of all time that I have in front of him, 6 guys, 7 guys, 8 guys. I don't even know if Curry's in my top 10, to be honest with you. Yeah, he does have the rings. He does have, he is a shooter. He has the handles. I get all of that. But when I look at Steph Curry, it's not like, one name that nobody's mentioned yet, and Jelly keeps talking about it, and I was trying to, get to that when I started talking about my top 5. One of the guys that's not mentioned about, one of the guys that's underrated, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, Tony Parker. I don't believe Curry is on that same Parker, I feel like there's a tier. Okay, so yeah, Curry can shoot the fucking lights out the ball. Curry has elite handling. Curry follows, usually the small forward on the team who ain't that good. You kind of start shadowing Curry, and you allow Curry to do something that Allen Iverson did really good in the NBA, and he's an elite lane player. In 2K terms, he knows the sweet spots. So, that helps him, make himself look like he's a better defender than when he is. If you look at just the box score, if you look at stats, you're like, oh, all right, Steph Curry, he's getting a couple steals a game. He looks good. But when you sit down and you watch the tape, it's kind of like, well, Steph Curry's playing, Matt Bonner, and he's just sitting in the passing lanes. To me, if you were to take, what's Curry got, 3 rings? If you were to strip them 3 rings away from Steph Curry and add them 3 rings to Damian Lillard's in my top 5. I think Damian Lillard has the same range. Damian Lillard is a better defender. He's always played with shit. That's what people forget with Golden State. Like, they're not a super team like Miami. They're not a super team like Brooklyn this year. Some of these teams that are bought. Golden State did a really good job of drafting, and then KD came.
Right.
Even without KD, though, they got 3 top.
But that's my point. So
players in the NBA when they're healthy.
That's my point. So to me, I haven't seen.
Curry be in a system where he had to fail, or
I haven't seen Curry go, this is my team, I'm putting them on my back with guys that you've never heard of. LeBron did it in Cleveland. It didn't come out to a championship, but I feel like a lot of people started respecting LeBron 3 years into the league, and he takes this Cleveland team who's got, washed up Mo Williams, Delonte West, Drew Gooden, Anderson Varejao, Ugauskis, like Larry Hughes. Like, no, I want to see what a player does when adversity hits. That was one thing. So when you look at this year, that is one thing that actually started making me respect Steph Curry more. Steph Curry has actually had a very good season. Steph Curry should be in this MVP race. Steph Curry has taken this Golden State team, what they said, 5-6 in the Western Conference. And it's Curry and Draymond Green. Everyone knows Draymond Green is going to shoot 8 for 8 one night and then shoot 0 for 7 the next 3 nights. So, I mean, to me, Curry, this year, the level of play that he's at, I think he's climbing up my point guard ladder. And a lot of people are going to say, you sound stupid because he should already be there. But I got Tony Parker in my top 10. Jerry West has to be in there. Magic's in there for sure. Chris Paul. And see, Chris Paul doesn't have rings, but I feel like Chris Paul impacts a game more offensive and defensively than Steph Curry can.
He doesn't impact it more offensively because Curry is a better scorer than him.
Yeah, Curry may be a better scorer, but if you take... There was actually a stat that came out today with LeBron. Points accounted for. Can I see the points accounted for Chris Paul's prime versus Steph Curry's prime? Steph Curry is a better shooter. He's a better scorer. But I feel like with Chris Paul, the numbers are probably accounted for really close when it comes to you put in the assist averages with your points.
Well, yeah, and that's why he's in my top 5 and Steph Curry is not.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like
But
that's what gives
purely offensively. Then, if you're talking pure offense, Curry's the best point guard of all time. He's the best scoring point guard ever. But he can't play defense, other than getting some steals, and I think he gets some of those steals based on the guys that are around him because Klay Thompson is a great defender and Draymond Green is a good defender.
And he also had Harrison Barnes that was a good defender, and he also had KD, who's Iguodala, KD. He's had good defenders that he's got to play with.
And like I said, unless he's stealing the ball, his defense is suspect at best.
Switching back
he's pretty good at getting passing lanes, but he can't guard a guy long-term one-on-one on the perimeter.
Switching back to Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Chill, has there ever been a season where you sat there and said Westbrook's the best guard in the league?
I did that. Honestly, it's been pretty close because the MVP season, of course, he stood out. The next season, I had him at least top 3. At least top 3 because he did it again. Even though his team didn't make it far, but he did it again. It was like, and you got to think about that point. It's like, okay, he's coming for Big O at that moment.
Yeah.
He did it. He done did it twice in a row. So, and the crazy part is his 3rd year when he did it, nobody cared about Westbrook because was that the year I think they got bounced by Dame? Was that the year?
With the wave, I believe so.
That was he did it again the same, and nobody talked about it. And I'm just like, nobody's giving this dude's credit. I understand like they expect Westbrook to take a team in the West, far, but it ain't so far if you ain't got the counterparts,
As far as MVP and people talking about you go, all these sports writers want is new. Because I'm sorry, it's pretty. I think we all think it's pretty ridiculous looking at statistical seasons that LeBron has 4 MVPs.
Right.
You have more than 4 MVPs when you look at his stats and what he got a team to do with what was around him a lot of years. There's been plenty of years that dude should have won MVP and got snubbed because the sports writers just want a different narrative. They don't want the LeBron narrative anymore.
I mean,
they got tired of Westbrook just a little more quickly.
Right. I mean,
I think they were just expecting to see Westbrook. If Westbrook would have done something in the playoffs, you would have heard him get talked about. But people were like, "Okay, cool. I've seen you do it in the regular season. I need to see more."
And that's tough in the playoffs. It's very. I don't think there's ever been a PG in the West to single-handedly bring a team to a semifinals final. I don't think we've ever seen it. Maybe in the East, but in the West, you're not gonna see that. Yeah, that's tough. It's too many components. It's too many superstars on the West side. Russell,
we might have got it with Steve Nash. Steve Nash might have single-handedly carried that team.
Single-handedly? I don't know.
You got to think about it. When that Phoenix team started clicking, Amari was what, 2 years into the league?
But Amari was going crazy for those. He was going phenomenal.
He was, because as much as I'm sitting here saying, Steve Nash might have done it by himself, Amari's one of my favorite power forwards of all time. I wanted Amari in Miami instead of Chris Bosh. But when you
I'm pretty sure Jerry West carried.
Yeah, but that's a little bit further back. I feel like teams have changed. I feel like the East and West has kind of switched. I feel like the West was a little bit. I'm not going to say on the Eastern Conference level when Jerry West played. I just don't feel like the West was as stacked as the East was.
Maybe not.
So I feel like it might have been a little bit. I mean, I don't want to take any. I don't want to take anything away from Jerry.
That Jerry West averaged like 46 points in a series one year. I think it was the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, it's the highest average for a postseason series in NBA history. I'm pretty sure it still remains that. He averaged like 46 points per game in the entire Western Division Finals one year.
All right, chill. Hop in your time machine. Ready?
My time machine?
Yeah, we're going to go back a few years. When Westbrook and Derrick Rose, before Derrick Rose injury.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you have? Who was the better one?
Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose exploded before Russell did. But I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to reword that. Because of where Derrick Rose was and where Russell played up under, the spotlight was definitely going to go to Derrick Rose. A PG who's dominating in the East, whose team is to a top 3, while he's in his prime. Russell's success with Warriors, I mean, everybody thought about, KD. Russell was basically second fin. KD had all the big news, and you got Harden come off the bench. So all you hear about is the big trio. But when you hear Derrick Rose and the way he took off, I definitely had Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was phenomenal.
So, I mean, we'll never actually know this outcome. But if Derrick Rose never got hurt, would you be, having Derrick Rose higher than Westbrook?
Yes. Because scoring sound-wise, Derrick Rose was more efficient. When his jump shot started clicking, and he was basically being consistent, he knew how to pick his poison. He didn't take a lot of threes. He got to his midi where he needed to, and nobody could really guard him in the paint. So, I mean, Derrick Rose is basically better scoring-wise than Russell. Because Russell, you can see it, like, Russell has finesse, but his is mostly forced.
Yeah.
Because he's so explosive. But with Derrick Rose, it was like Derrick Rose was doing stuff before Kyrie, really had that name of being the finesse guard. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Getting to the rim and everybody, you can't really touch him. Derrick Rose is already doing it. So I definitely have Derrick Rose if he never got hurt. I'll be honest about that.
While I got you on, I'm not going to ask you a Russell Westbrook question. I want to ask you a question that I'm seeing all over social media, and it's somehow made its way onto ESPN with Stephen A. Smith. Who you got in a one-on-one? Allen Iverson or Kyrie Irving? Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie is literally probably the hardest to guard. It just AI's got a dog in him though. You don't have to claw and fight with AI. I'm sorry. Lord, I don't know. If Kyrie gets the ball first, he got to score. He got to score against AI every time. If he doesn't, AI's got the game. Legit.
You're more than welcome to come back on the show at any time in the world. you gave me the right answer.
It's AI.
I'm a Kyrie fan. I've always been a Kyrie fan. I watched him while he was at Duke. I mean, he only played a few games because of injury. I watched him in Cleveland. I've kind of followed him when he went to Boston. I just don't see the same. There's no way people can sit here and tell me that he'd beat AI in a one-on-one. I mean, yeah, Kyrie is a good defender, but that boy Iverson would break his back and be like, all right, I'm suiting up and scoring 50.
Right. AI is just a different breed when it came down to performing. He's going to do what he got to do regardless. And the thing is, you didn't have to, in AI's career, until he really started slowing down, you never had concerns about his production.
Yeah.
He was consistent pretty much his whole career. Like, steals, getting scores when you needed big buckets. You never questioned it. Kyrie, it is like Kyrie got so much going on off the court that it takes away from what he does on the court when he's playing. But when the Kyrie's locked in, he's literally a top 3-point guard in the league because you got to worry about him dropping 30 every game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, and especially if he stays locked into this year. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be the last question on Westbrook, and then I'll let you go. With Westbrook, him being as explosive as he is, him getting older, how many more seasons do you think Westbrook could actually play?
It's gonna be hard to say. This dude bounces back ridiculously. I can't put limits on Westbrook. When people try to count him out and say he's losing his explosiveness in Houston, he had a whole span of a month and a half where he carried James Harden in the Houston, but nobody talked about it. He came back this year, and you see his explosiveness and his perks, coming back and doing what like the old Westbrook. I don't know. He probably would have to sustain another major injury to make him slow down and start playing like a back to the basket guard, which he can do in points. He's proven that if you put any guard on him, he's going to attack you, back to the basket a little bit, face up. So I'll give him. Let's see here. This is his 13th season. I give him 2 more seasons of maybe possibly doing what he does now. Maybe after that, he's going to change up his play style.
You think he could change his play style and become a shooter?
No, I feel like he can become a knockdown midi, hit maybe 2 threes a game, but me more a facilitator at that point. Because his midi was his best thing. I hate to see it, talk about it. Like, I went to look at his stats. He never shot too crazy from the midi, but when he was on for the midi, he was on. It was easy pull up. People try to give him too much room, and then he blow by you. But if he knocks down his midi again and gets confidence just to shoot 3 threes a game and make it respectable, you open up the whole floor.
All right. That is it on my end. You didn't persuade me to think Westbrook's a top 5 point guard. I'm sorry, Joe.
I mean, he needs a ring, honestly, man.
I think
ring he put.
If he gets a ring, I might be able to put him at 6.
6? What if he averages a triple-double again this year? That's 4 times.
I mean, Oscar Robinson did it for technically his first 382 games. So.
Sheesh.
I mean.
Also, by the way, Oscar Robertson and Jerry West, who both averaged more points per game than Russell Westbrook does. Jerry West averaged 27 and Oscar Robertson averaged 25.5. They both did that without a 3-point line.
Yeah. Well, Westbrook can't use a 3-point line anyway.
I know.
Right.
But he would look better, actually.
Yeah, that is crazy, though. They didn't have 3-point line. They still averaging 27. But this is also that plays a part, too, though, that I feel like because every other guard who's averaged more has had the size. Like, Jerry West is 6'6". You got Big O, 6'5", 6'6". Like, Russell wants to play like he's 6'6", 6'7", and he can't. Like, that's the thing that hurts him most. He wants to be a big guard at heart. Like, that's how his game is. He wants to be the LeBron, the Giannis.
Yeah.
But he's got to realize that the only way that works, you need an offense around you that can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that works, and he's never been in that position where like LeBron and Giannis have been blessed with an organization that built that.
Correct.
Like, the best shooting that Russell has had was KD, Harden, Paul George. He didn't have like the also 3-4 like LeBron's had. Chris Bosh, Shane Battier, Mike Miller. The list goes on of shooters he's had in his corner to spread the floor, and all LeBron had to do was kick it out. He got 80 now, who's a 5'4", who can stretch the floor. I wish Russell had something like that in his whole career. Like organizations like, we're gonna give you a whole bunch of shooters. But I feel like him being the OKC market hurt him too.
Well, he had Ibaka.
I mean, Ibaka's best shooting performances, like he came here and there for the Thunder, but he started lighting up when he was with the Raptors.
Yeah, that's true as well.
So it's like Russell just wasn't as blessed as every other person who needed outside scoring to do what he needed to do to be aggressive. Like you see everybody who plays Russell. If he starts off cold, they playing him free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
But if he starts hot, he may shoot 2 for 4. They're gonna show a little bit, then he can go crazy. Cause then it's like, okay, he's heating up a little bit. But that's just Russell's problem. He wants to play like he's 6'7", and he can. It's a shooter's league. His best time, if Russell was playing, was 2000 to like 2008 to really go crazy like that. Because I mean, back then he can pretty much do that. People weren't shooting as much as Curry and Kyrie and Damian Lillard do now. They want those guards who shoot, 4 or 5 threes a game. Who you have to like spread the floor now, because the big man, like, you think about it, when you watch Kyrie, Damian Lillard, Steph, you come off the screen, the big man is hardly ever shooting paint. If he's sitting paint, Steph and them gonna pull it. Russell, they know. Oh, we're gonna live with that. You shooting 30%, if that, we're gonna live with it. So, either he adjusts or it's just his career is just gonna dwindle into an early retirement, because his athleticism is not gonna keep up for too long.
I agree with that.
So hopefully after this season, because I feel like he's going to get traded or somebody's going to buy him out. Something's going to happen after this season. Something legit is going to happen after this season, because either Bradley Beal's gone and they get Russell, a whole other team to work around with, or Russell's gone to another team, a partial contender team that's going into, going into the playoffs heavy. Do y'all see him get traded anywhere else? That a team that would want him?
A team that would want Russell Westbrook?
Yes. That would fit.
It's going to sound like I'm saying it just because they got a lot of money and they need a face. The New York Knicks.
Oh, God. Why does everybody want somebody to go to the New York Knicks?
The New York Knicks, with him and Julius Randle, I feel like that could be a very good combination. You also got R.J. Barrett.
Yeah, but Russell needs to go to a team like that's going to be potential. Like, even though the Knicks are what 6th, 7th in the East this year? Probably
5.
See, they're not doing bad this year. They're midway, but it's the East. But still, he's never getting out the East.
It'd be interesting to see him go to a team, a contender. I do get what you're saying. Like, if he was to go to, I don't see this happening, but say he was to go to the Lakers, and see how he responds and how he plays.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
I would be, because that's going to take away from what LeBron does. You're adding a mini LeBron.
No, you're not. That ain't LeBron. He can't pass half as good as LeBron.
No, what I'm saying is you're adding a mini LeBron, because LeBron's developed the jump shot, but it's still not like LeBron is knocked down. So you're adding Westbrook, who's looking to drive to the hoop. You can't have that coexist with LeBron. You got two guys with the same mindset. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I don't think it would work unless Westbrook changed the game.
What about this? What if, I know this would never happen, what if Westbrook accepted a role as a 6-man point guard?
6-man where?
I don't know, like something kind of like, he can come and produce as the point guard you need.
What would be interesting that you bring up the 6-man option, would be Golden State. And
behind Steph? Ooh.
No, not behind Steph. Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
James Wiseman is their rookie center.
Right.
Make him your 6-man. Play the small ball that won you a few championships. Put Draymond Green at the center. Put Wiggins at the 4. Let Westbrook play the 2, Clay at the 3, and Curry at the 1. You make the contracts work. Westbrook.
Even in a small ball lineup.
Move Westbrook to the 1.
And put Steph at the 2?
Why not?
I mean, Steph's going to score regardless wherever you put him on the court. Off screens, slide back, it don't matter.
I'm not taking the ball out of Steph's hands to put it in Westbrook's hands.
I mean, would that be bad for the offense though?
I don't see. That's
horrible for the offense.
That's
the Golden State Warriors are a space and shoot team, and Russell Westbrook does not know how to space or shoot.
But that's what makes that's kind of what makes it interesting. You're adding a guy who wants to attack. You're gonna get these teams that are gonna draw their He's gonna draw the defenders off these shooters.
Right. I mean, it does make sense though, because you have two of the best shooters in the league history ever. That if you're gonna help Russell, you better believe they're gonna knock it down. But that's too much of a risk.
Is he gonna actually pass him the ball?
It's just too much money, and I believe Westbrook would. As much as I don't think Westbrook's a top 5 point guard, as much shit that is thrown Westbrook's way, I do feel like Westbrook kind of is a team guy.
I don't. I think he's a me guy, and I proved that when he said, "I don't care about titles. I want my stats," which is why he'll never go to a contender, because none of these contenders are gonna. The GMs aren't gonna want him, and the all-star players that are on these contenders that want to win titles, they don't want him either. Nobody wants to play with this dude. Nobody wants to pay this dude because of his attitude. He's not a team player. He's not a championship-minded guy. I would never want him on my roster personally. His mentality is garbage as far as I'm concerned, because if you're not here to win titles, I have no time for you. Which is why he'll never see a contender and he'll never win a title. Selfish.
I can't say he's selfish. I mean, I listened to the thing about it. I listened to the Stephen A. and the way he spoke about it. It's just like, 13 seasons in, your best shot came in your first 5 seasons, first 6 seasons, with some of the best people that ever played the game, and you don't win, and you're playing with teams trying to build stuff. It's just like he would have to change up his whole game. He would really have to become just a point guard that sets somebody else up, but he has to be with a offensive team that can produce in order to be that facilitator. I don't feel like since he's left that team, he's had more than 2 people on his team that can produce. Since the first 6 seasons, I don't think he's had a team since that. Everybody else has been blessed to have that, like the organization. Like, look at Giannis. Giannis has had shooters around him. He's got Middleton with him. He's got other people who can produce, when he's not on crazy. The other person only Paul George has Bradley Beal, Paul George, Oladipo. I can't think of nobody else at the 3 or 4 option that can produce like LeBron has had. Like, he's had other people who can produce. Like, it has to be the trust factor. He has to play with the star level, and I feel like he doesn't. I hate to say this, but I feel like he doesn't respect the other players who aren't on that level to put the ball in their hands to score. Because it ain't that many in the league who can do that. Being fair.
I get that. My thing is, when I say that he to me he is a team player. I'm not talking about Westbrook off the court. I do feel like Westbrook is kind of a wide receiver in the NBA. He's a diva. But I feel like once he steps on the court, it's not, I got to go do this every single time. Like, he wants to get his guys involved. Just kind of piggybacking off what Chill's saying, there is no other option. You got Bradley Beal right now in Washington, and that's it.
You're not trusting their second first round pick year, dude. I can't think of his name. Is people from Japan. Like, they're not developed yet. Nobody in that team's developed enough to put up 15 points a game on a night. Now, granted, Russell Westbrook's shot selection is terrible at times. It is terrible.
Yes, it
I wish
is.
he would. I wish he would do better when it came to shot selection. If you're not hitting on the three, find your sweet spot in the middle. Work around, get to the free throw line. You're not the best free throw shooter, but at least keep being aggressive. I mean, he does. It's just his shot selection hurts him the most, man. He could do a whole lot better. When he's on, he's putting up 30 a night. When he's off, it's 8 for 20. It's 8 for 20, 8 for 20, 3 for 13, 3 for 15. It's terrible. I don't know.
I agree with you.
He'll get his shot selection down pat, man, and stop just doing dumb stuff, because he'll realize if anything, he's gonna realize he's gonna become like Vince Carter. He's got to slow down and actually get a decent shot. He's got to find it, because that's the only way you're gonna stay liable and people gonna trust you. Vince Carter did it. Vince Carter was crazy athletic, averaging 23, 24 points a game. Crazy athleticism. Good shooter here and there. But what comes down to it is that if you want to be on a contending team, the other parts got to start showing up. Your best part of you is being a leader, vocal, being a facilitator, finding having passes, getting everybody going. And once that stops going, your athleticism can't get everybody going. You got to find something else. You got to find it. So, no, we'll see this season. His team is 17-29 right now, probably 17-30.
I believe so.
They're probably in at the bottom. If they make a playoff run, I doubt it. They're probably just tanking. Russell Westbrook probably averaging triple-double, and that'll be one in the history books.
Can't question it. He's gonna do something that we haven't seen a lot of people do over and over and over again. That is kind of what makes Westbrook special. I just can't put him in my top 5 for being regular season special.
I understand that.
But you also see that I'm a little bit more harsh than your average NBA fan. Steph Curry's not in my top 5.
Yeah.
So.
And I always tell people Steph Curry is amazing offensively. Amazing offensively. But if we're talking about all time, and I got to see you play defense against some of the all times, no, that's not going to happen. Him against some of the all times on defense is murder.
But all right,
I appreciate it. And boy,
Mr. Two,
AKA Chad.
You got to make sure you go follow Chill on Twitter. It's at 2ChillTV. Chill, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you giving us your input on why Westbrook, in your opinion, is a top 5 point guard. I do believe you could take a few things away from what you said, wrap it into a nice little ball, and if you're a newer person getting into the NBA, you might move Westbrook up just listening to the way that you were, kind of putting pieces together about him. So, I mean, like I said, I'm just a little bit more, you got to be God with the ball in your hands to get into the top 5. To me. But no, definitely appreciate it. Again, guys, go ahead and follow him on Twitter. It's at 2ChillTV. Also, he is playing Warzone consistently now. Chill, you want to drop your Twitch?
My Twitch is also 2ChillTV. Streaming content, consistently, just Warzone, UFC, just different things. Trying to, spread the brand a little bit more. So just check me out.
Also, where can we get some Beast Mentality merch?
This is coming soon. Give it about a month or two. I'm getting serious, gonna get an LLC. Then the website should be up about a month or two.
All right.
Just be on the lookout. It's coming.
All right, so again, thanks for coming on. Hopefully we could set something up in the future. No, we were not talking about Tupac being alive. No, right, different stream.
Different stream, man. All right, man. Appreciate you too, bro.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Have a good one.
All right, so that was Mr. Too Chill. I'm not gonna argue much on what he said. I do understand his points. He did make a good point. He came on. He had his shit in line. He didn't just come up and say, it's this person and this is why and that's it. So I did enjoy, having a little bit of a back and forth. Rob, you had a lot to throw in there, so that definitely helped out.
Yeah, I might not know the modern NBA quite as well, but you want to talk throwbacks? I'm a stats guy, baby. I love me some numbers, so.
Well,
I love me some throwback players. I like bringing up guys that people don't talk about enough.
Well, we had Chris on yesterday. He said numbers lie. Or what? Did he say numbers lie? Advanced analytics don't lie.
Numbers don't lie, bro.
Oh, yeah, that's
Men
what it was.
lie, women lie.
Numbers don't.
Numbers don't lie.
Chill. Really, I appreciate that. The sub to the Twitch channel, man. Again, thanks for coming on. For Rob and I, we actually have nothing going on until Monday, which is some fun, nice little Easter break weekend.
Maybe we'll do some streaming content. We don't know yet.
Yeah, we might throw up a stream, play some COD, but as of right now, we're open. Take the weekend and enjoy with your family. Hopefully with this COVID going on, you're still able to see your loved ones and, be able to hug them and tell them you love them. You never know when something could happen. But we'll be back on, as of right now, on Monday. We're going to do some NFL content on Monday. I know I haven't mentioned this yet to Rob, but I may throw a little Eagles show together on Monday. Jalen Hurts just recently changed his number to number 1. The Eagles moved back to number 12. They got 17 bajillion first-round picks, and Howie Roseman can't figure out which head of lettuce is actually still good in the grocery store. So there's a trade coming, and I feel like we should definitely hit an Eagles show. But we also got a shit ton of prospects to talk about. So, Monday, probably 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern time. If not, actually, no, Rob's got soccer practice, so we're probably looking about 8 Eastern Monday. As always, you can find it right here on Twitch or on YouTube. Search Philly Frenzy Podcast. Hit me with a like or hit me with a follow on Twitter, mhathaway23. And Rob is at Rob Danka. Until Monday, Philly Frenzy out.